Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing another comic book review. Today we're looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Naruto, issue 3 of 4 as far as I understand it, which to be honest with you is pretty disappointing. I think that this should have been a 6-issue miniseries. That would have been much better. But for whatever reason, they went with 4. I think this might just be a kind of a indie industry standard, because I know Titan also prefers doing trades for 4 issues. And I think that's just because things are more expensive now, and so you have to make do with less, right? Which is fine from like a producer perspective, but from the side of the consumer, it seems like constraining yourself unnecessarily to an extent, right? But it's not really here or there. This is still done by Caleb Goldner, Hendrik Prasetya, Raul Angulo, and Ed Dukenshire as the team that works on this. And I love the cover here. I think it's great. It's nice to have, the blue and the red characters here. And I think the last one will be Naruto. The last cover will be Naruto. And that's pretty exciting. I feel like there is, maybe Kakashi should have gotten a cover as well. Kakashi and Splinter. But I guess they're not really like what you're really there for when it comes to the Naruto crossover. So it makes sense that Naruto would be on the cover more often. But that's just, an opinion I have that I understand is not kind of popular, right? But doesn't really make too much of a difference. So this issue is kind of connective tissue and also the start of the end of the series, right? And this is where I really think there should have been more issues, because it does both of these jobs well enough. I think that ultimately Caleb Goldner has done a great job here at making sure that this feels enjoyable and it does all of the things it needs to do. But due to the constraints of this having such a small amount of issues, I feel like there was not enough room to breathe, right? One of the beautiful kind of concepts of having these sorts of crossovers is getting to see these characters interacting in a way that you've never thought possible, right? And when you have an issue that's mostly focused on that, you really want to keep it at that. You don't want to force it into also being the start of the end of your series, right? The kind of start of the climax, as it were. And the fact that they had to do this is disappointing. I feel like this should have been just a kids get to know each other issue, and then the next one should have been the start of the end, right? Goldner did manage to do a good job regardless, so there's not really much to complain about. I just would have preferred if this was purely a slice of life type issue where the kids just go get pizza and they have fun and maybe they spar a little bit or something like that, and then next time we start the end of the story. But what actually happens here is that we get that I just mentioned, and then you get Splinter and April getting kidnapped, and then meeting, the Shredder, right? So overall, pretty cool stuff regardless, right? So let me give you kind of a play-by-play of the whole issue, and then we'll move on to my final thoughts here. So the team start on the roof. They're looking down at the Big Apple Village, which is just New York, but some of the stuff has changed around, so you can kind of see it more prominently. So there is like what's called a Statue of Liberty in the middle of the place, and then there's also, the Big Apple in the middle and stuff like that. And what we learn here, as the characters jump down and start doing some sightseeing, is that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are essentially the peacekeeping organization of the city. For whatever reason, this village isn't organized like the normal villages, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are a ninja clan of the city that also happen to work at this police force, right? And this is because the city is kind of in shambles. There's a lot of negative things going on. It's not really the right kind of area for peaceful people, right? And because the turtles are so willing to get their hands dirty and try to keep everyone safe, they're actually very well treated in the city. And we see this when they stop by the pizza shop and they get a bunch of pizza given to them for free, and then they sneak down through the sewers into their lair. Now, there is kind of a funny moment here that I feel like some of the characters should have mentioned, which is going with pizza, like very clean, just made pizza, down into the sewer system. And like, I guess ninjas are kind of used to this kind of possibility of getting dirty, but there is something so silly about this that I feel like Sakura should have said something, right? Like, oh, are we really gonna go down into the sewer with our fresh pizza, right? Like, I feel like there was a missed opportunity there with some dialogue between the characters to kind of showcase how silly that concept is, right? But, you know, it's not really that important. We then transition over to the Foot Clan castle, where Splinter and April have been caught, and Shredder catches them specifically because he wants to see Splinter die, and because April has this, scroll, this ninja scroll that happens to have a canister of ooze inside of it. And so he opens it. He actually does something really cool where he breaks or destroys the scroll, and the destruction is what causes it to turn back into the ooze canister, which is something I've not clearly seen before. Like, most of the time when Naruto and company need to get something out of a scroll, they unfurl the scroll and then they unseal whatever they put into it, right? So Shredder destroying it is pretty cool. I thought it was kind of interesting how he did that. And it turns out that Stockman put the last bit of ooze into this scroll, and he needs it because he wants to test it. Now, he says to April that he's not some crazy person that wants to release ooze willy-nilly into the city. He wants to control its dispersal, and he wants to test it on people. So he knows how it works on animals. It creates these humanoids out of it, right? But what does it do to humans? And so he pours the ooze on 4 different Foot Clan members, right? And when he does, they transform into these creepy things. And it's kind of unclear why or how or into what they really transform. My assumption would be that if a human gets hit with the ooze, who's already a humanoid, they would become more unhuman, so they would become more like gorillas or apes or whatever you want to call it, right? And so I feel like ooze should work on people by transforming them back into a more primitive state, where it works on animals by transforming them more into a civilized state, right? Like turning them more humanoid, whereas it turns humans less humanoid, right? And that seems kind of what it does, but there is some an element of like animal traits that kind of show up on these characters that are not related to humanoids, right? They become like bugmen or kind of like, a rhinoceros or like whatever, like they just become other things that are not human, right? And this is pretty cool because, we get to have these awesome monsters to fight, right? And so the kids arrive at the lair at this point and they realize, oh crap, Splinter is gone. Shredder took them, right? And so the turtles get mad and they go straight to the Foot Clan castle to go fight them, right? As they do, Shredder starts to see the Foot Klansmen kind of turn, and he's actually pretty excited about this, right? So the team arrives, and then they set up to fight. So the red characters fight together against a yellow monster, I think. Sakura launches Raphael, and she uses him as a bowling ball to knock down this other character, and it's pretty fun. I quite like that. Kakashi and Leo team up against an orange character, and this is pretty fun. So you get basically the 2 leaders of the 2 teams to fight together, and in a sense, this makes more sense than Leo being with Sasuke, right? And they do this awesome attack where Kakashi uses the lightning katana, or like the second version of Chidori, and obviously Leo uses his real swords, right? And they kind of pierce through this character, which is pretty awesome. Then we have Sasuke team up with Donnie. So I guess in this case, it's not the blue characters, but rather the intelligent characters, right? And they do a rider kick against a purple character, I think. I call it a rider kick because that's what it is, but I guess it's supposed to be something similar to Rock Lee's kick, his attack that inspires the Uzumaki Barrage and all of these types of things, which Sasuke also does right after the Chunin exams. So this seems to be after the Chunin exams, which is nice. And then Naruto and Mikey do a barrage attack against the last character that's left over. And finally, to end this issue, Shredder drinks some of the ooze and he becomes this crazy monster, and it's very exciting, and it's gonna set up the end here. And at this point, I'm curious, what's gonna happen next? Is Naruto gonna come in contact with the ooze in some way? Is he going to become some sort of nine-tailed fox creature? Or is he going to use his nine-tailed chakra cloak in order to fight Shredder? He'll get angry, he'll get the red chakra cloak, and then he'll fight him. What's gonna happen here? And it feels like there's too many characters against Shredder. Like, I'm sure he can beat them because he's supposed to be the main bad guy, but realistically, there's, Kakashi, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Splinter. So that's 6 very capable characters. And then Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, who are still capable, but less so. And you ultimately have 9 characters against Shredder. And that feels like too many. I wonder if he's going to call some more of the Foot Clan in order to help him kind of even out the odds. Or he's going to be so overpowered by the Ooze that he really will be able to take them down. Obviously, I think the characters have to win, so I'm curious to see how they'll manage to do that. But I'm pretty excited about this. The one thing is that I feel like Shredder should have joined forces with Orochimaru, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be possible, right? So maybe there are more opportunities for further crossovers, and at that point, maybe it'll be like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show up to the village in the leaves, and then they go fight, Orochimaru, right? So I don't know. It'll be kind of interesting here to see how that happens, if it ever happens. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts here. That's really all there is to it. I mean, this was a pretty fun issue. I liked it, but I feel like it did 2 things good. It didn't do either of them amazingly, which is kind of different from how I felt previously. I feel like the previous 2 issues were pretty top tier, and this one was too, but less so than the previous 2, if that makes sense. So those are my thoughts here on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Naruto. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys very much for watching, and see you guys later.